He paid $10,000 for Pele's number 10 jersey. His penalty kick sailed over the bar. Nobody on the field knew Sebastian Marcet was building a billion-dollar cocaine empire, hiding in plain sight as El Uruguayo. But behind the failed dream was a kingpin using football to launder millions. How does obsession twist into global power? The answer begins where Marcet's story truly starts. In Montevideo, Sebastian Marcet grew up chasing a fantasy that always seemed just out of reach. He spent hours watching football legends on television, memorizing the moves of stars who wore the number 10. At 16, while working the night shift at a gas station, he blew his entire paycheck on a David Beckham tracksuit. The real thing, imported, worth more than a month's rent. He wore it everywhere, hoping the shine would rub off, but on the pitch, he was just another kid with slow feet and weak passes. Coaches benched him, teammates shrugged him off. He bounced from one semi-pro team to another, never making it past the reserves. The hunger to belong, to be seen as somebody, grew sharper as the dream slipped away. By 18, the stadium lights had faded, but the need for recognition had not. He found a new crowd, one that did not care about perfect passes or trophies. In 2013, police caught him smuggling marijuana across the border with Juan Domingo Viveros Cartes, uncle of Paraguay's future president. The arrest made headlines in Uruguay's sports pages, but not for his football. Marcet was sentenced to 5 years in prison. For most, that would have been the end of the story. For Marcet, it was only the beginning. The boy who once idolized Beckham was about to discover a different kind of power, one that did not require talent or applause, just nerve and the right connections. Inside prison, Sebastian Marcet found opportunity in the shadows. Assigned as a cleaner, he moved freely between cell blocks, a privilege that gave him access few others had. He swept floors, emptied trash, and learned to listen. The job was not about mops and buckets. It was about proximity. Every day, he crossed paths with men who ran criminal enterprises from behind bars. Some controlled local rackets, others answered to syndicates stretching across borders. Among these, the most powerful were the emissaries of Brazil's Primeiro Comando de Capital, PCC. The PCC controlled drug routes from Sao Paulo to the Atlantic, their influence spilling over into Uruguay and Paraguay. Marcet paid attention, offering small favors, picking up scraps of information. He watched how alliances formed and how debts were settled. The prison guards looked the other way. For them, a quiet inmate was a manageable one. He learned the value of trust and the cost of betrayal. He learned that in this world, reputation mattered more than muscle. The PCC did not care if he could dribble a ball. They cared about loyalty, reliability, and nerve. Over 5 years, Marcet built a network that stretched far beyond Uruguay's walls. By the time his sentence ended in 2018, he was not just another ex-con. He walked out with a Rolodex of cartel contacts and a new sense of purpose. The boy who once dreamed of football stardom now understood the rules of a different game, one where the stakes were measured in tons, not goals. He was ready to play on a global stage. Small planes lifted off from Paraguay's commercial airports, flying under the radar toward Bolivia's Chapare region. On remote farms, each aircraft took on 1 or 2 tons of cocaine, enough to fill a cargo van, enough to bring in more than $20 million per flight. The return trip ended on hidden airstrips carved out of the Paraguayan countryside. Trucks waited in the dark, engines idling, ready to move the sealed bricks north. The route was mapped with precision from the airstrips to the Paraguay River, then onto container ships bound for Europe. Ports in Belgium and the Netherlands became the final links in a chain that stretched across continents. Customs officers who intercepted the shipments found something unusual. Each brick was stamped with a phrase in Arabic, "The King of the South." It was a signature, a warning, and a brand. Investigators traced the pattern, flights every week, sometimes more, each one moving a fortune. In less than a year, the network moved at least 16 tons of cocaine, that is hundreds of millions of dollars in street value, washing through shell companies and bank accounts before anyone could follow the trail. With that much cash flowing in, hiding the profits became its own operation. Traditional laundering, real estate, and shell companies could not keep up with the volume. Marset needed something bigger, something that could turn dirty money into clean with the stroke of a pen or the sale of a player. Football, with its murky transfers and cash-heavy deals, offered the perfect front. Luxury was the price of entry. When Sebastian Marset arrived at Deportivo Capiata, he did not negotiate with skill, he negotiated with money. $10,000 for the number 10 jersey, houses, and even a yacht for the coach. Cash bonuses slipped to teammates, all in exchange for a guaranteed spot on the pitch. He played 6 matches, each one a spectacle of missed passes and slow sprints, but the scoreboard did not matter. The real victory was off the field. Football clubs like Capiata became laundromats for Marset's drug profits. In the world of player transfers, numbers could be stretched to fit any story. A player bought for a few thousand in South America could be sold to a European team for 100 times that amount. The difference, millions sometimes, moved through official channels as league-sanctioned transfers, turning cocaine cash into clean revenue with a single signature. The scheme grew even bolder. In 2021, Marset's network sent 4 Paraguayan players and staff to a second-division club in Greece. They arrived in a new SUV, flashed cash, trained for weeks, then vanished. The club's books showed money coming in, but the players were gone. No one in the league asked questions. Investigators later flagged the case as a classic laundering maneuver, money in, legitimacy out, and no one left to answer for it. Officials and coaches played their part, looking the other way as the cash flowed. For Marset, the football dream was always personal, but for the clubs, it was business, dirty money cleaned by the rules of the game. In July 2021, Dubai authorities detained Sebastian Marset at the airport, catching him with a fake Paraguayan passport. The United States warned local officials, if he walks, he will vanish. But Marset's lawyers filed for a legitimate Uruguayan passport, and the request landed on the desks of Uruguay's top ministers. Warnings circulated through WhatsApp, messages flagged Marset as a dangerous trafficker, yet the passport was approved in record time. By February 2022, Marset walked out of detention using his real name with no active Uruguayan cases to hold him. Interpol's warrant arrived too late. Within weeks, he disappeared into South America's underworld. Prosecutor Marcelo Pecci, leading Paraguay's anti-narcotics investigations, pursued the case. On May 10, 2022, Pecci was shot dead while on his honeymoon in Colombia. Colombian authorities linked Marset to the murder, a retaliatory strike against the one man closing in. The bureaucratic failure in Dubai had ripple effects. Marset was free, a prosecutor was dead, and the manhunt now crossed borders and continents. Interpol notices flashed across borders, but Sebastian Marset did not hide in the shadows. In Bolivia, he bought a mansion and he kept playing football, his face broadcast on local television, his name still a mystery to most fans. In July 2023, police stormed his compound outside Santa Cruz. They found automatic rifles stacked against the walls, $400,000 in cash, and a fleet of luxury cars. Marset was already gone. He had spotted police drones overhead and he slipped away with his family before the raid began. Hours later, he sent a video to Bolivian media taunting authorities. He said, "I'm too intelligent for you. Keep hunting me. I'm far away." The world watched as his empire began to unravel. His wife was arrested in Madrid, his partners were extradited, and a new United States bounty, $2 million, put a price on his head. Still, no one could say where he had gone. The chase had become global, but Marset remained out of reach. Right now, international crime syndicates still exploit sports to launder billions, while law enforcement struggles to keep pace. As Marset remains free, his story exposes a system where power, obsession, and corruption collide. The real danger isn't what we see on the field, it's what we're missing off it.